Hello everyone, my name is Devashish and in this video I'm gonna teach you about, in this tutorial series in fact, about Web Express APIs, and how to develop a Web API server with the help of Express.js library. First of all, we need to know what is Express. Express is a library that is used for Node applications. Node applications are technology that is developed for building and deploying web pages or web servers. This is a backend web technology. That means we can create web servers, we can deploy web pages, we can create web APIs and deploy web APIs with the help of this Node.js applications. It's like PHP. So with the help of Express, we can very easily build a web server with just merely 4 or 5 lines of code. We'll see it how. So first of all, we need to understand how a web page works, or how a web server works. Whenever we open up a browser like Chrome, Firefox, or anything of your choice, any browser, in that we will request for a web page, say Facebook or Netflix or YouTube. Then the browser sends a request to the respective server, to the web server. Hey, I want to get this page, I want to download this page, I want to show this page to my user. So what happens, the web server sees the request, and based on the request, what it gets, it will send back a web page to the browser, and the browser will compile the data and it will show the web page to the user. This is how the web technology works. Now whenever you are looking at a web page, the web server is not only sending you the raw data, it will send you the entire web page itself. That means where the styling is to be put, what kind of styles are to be there, where the data is to be put. Like in case of YouTube, we will have a left side pane where we'll have all the subscriptions, everything, every kind of data. In the middle, or the most of the part, will be covered with the help of this thumbnails of individual items. So all these things, where to be put, what will be the styling, what will be the size, everything is sent by the web server itself. A browser just compiles the data and display the same thing in the screen. But in case of web APIs, think of a different scenario where you have your own mobile phone. In the mobile phone, you have an app. You have an app which displays the weather, just the weather app. What it does actually, it will look for the data that you want. That means it will show you the temperature of the current location, temperature, pressure, everything of the current location. That means the weather app will itself have all these points where the data is to be put, what will be the temperature, if the temperature is this, where it is to be put, what will be the fonts, what will be the styles of this data. If it everything has inside itself, it needs the data, that what is the temperature, what is the value of the temperature of this current location of the city which the user wants to know. So the data, only the raw data is required by the application, not the entire web page, or not the styling, not the fonts, nothing like that, only the data. So it will ask for the server that, hey, give me the data only, I don't need anything else, because all these other things will take a lot of payload, right? If I need all the fonts, everything, it will, if the server sends us everything back with the other than the data, any the styling, fonts, JavaScript, etc., which is not required, then it will take more time to load the data that it doesn't want. So what it requires, only the data, only the raw data in the form of JSON. Currently the data is provided in the form of JSON itself. Previously the data was sent in the form of XML formats, but currently it's the JSON, which is the industry standard. So it will take the raw JSON data from the web server, and the data, based on the data, it will show everything in its own styling, in its own fonts, designs, etc. So the data which we were getting from the server, it's called, this whole technology is called API, and the server which is sending me back the data only, it's called an API server. So this is how this API technology works. This is what is an API. Next thing what we have to understand is that whenever, say for this current example, in this weather app, the server can get a lot of requests. All these requests will be for different locations, so it needs to save the data, the current value of temperature, pressure, and other sort of stuffs like wind speed, etc., for each and every location. So the world has a lot of locations, right? So the data should not be saved, and it's not saved inside the web server itself. If the data is saved or data is maintained in a different kinds of servers. The data is maintained with the help of MySQL servers or NoSQL servers. This is a different technology altogether. We'll discuss it in our later videos, not in this tutorial. So the web server has two things to do. One, it will look for the requests from the client, that what the client wants, and from where, means what is the location, for which location it requires the data. Second thing, it needs to get the data from a database server. So it will have a different part from where it will fetch the data from a database server, right? It will have a different logic where it will fetch the data from a database server like MySQL server for SQL type database or table type databases, and there is another which is NoSQL database, for which we have MongoDB servers. So it will use this servers, and it will fetch the specific kind of data which the client requests, and the data will be sent back to the client. After it the web server receives the data, it will send the data back to the client. Okay, so these two purposes need to be solved by the web servers. But in this tutorial, as we are specifically focusing on only the web server, how to build the API server and how to interact with the client, means we'll have a simple database, and the database will not be saved in any MySQL or NoSQL servers like MongoDB, etc. It will be completely saved in our memory, and we will mimic the actual database by this memory database that we will create. A database file we will be creating. In that file we will have minimum amount of database, minimum amount of data or entry points, and we will see how the client can ask for getting the data, entire data, how we can send the data back to the client, and there are different things we will do with that. How the client can update the data, delete the data, okay, and how the client can entry a new data in the system, in the database. All these things we will be learning in this whole tutorial series. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you.